Coin traders, how we doing? Thanks for joining me for the show. Going to be looking at ZetaChain ZETA on that ticker. Been a little bit since we have covered it, and obviously over the last 2.5 weeks or so, we have been looking at a very nice consolidation pattern on the daily for Zeta, especially after this very nice bullish move to the upside, which did have a lot of price action, pushing prices back up on top of this exponential moving average band. So what we're looking at right now, if we go ahead and zoom in on this pattern, is we're looking at a longer term equilibrium. And this is especially good too, because we've actually back tested these exponential moving averages multiple times. So for example, if we actually look at this move, pulled back tested both the 12 and 26, rallied up, back tested support confirmed off of the 26 again. And then now we are actually back testing the 12 and 50 since they are actually lining up right now. So if we look at the 12, for example, we're looking at 160.01. And if we look at the 50, we're looking at 159.72. So plenty of support right now for the EMAs. Just below that is going to be the 26 coming in at 1.5581. And so we know that these are very much looking to have a very nice bullish cross here, especially since we've already had a bullish flip for the 12 and 26. And obviously right now we saw it for the 12 and the 50. So now just need a little bit more of action to the upside. These supports holding, and we will be in a very, very nice opportunity to see prices getting pushed higher, especially after having this very nice rally and then consolidating in this very nice pennant form right now. So we have our high, low, lower high, had a little bit of a lower low, but still maintaining actually a higher low for the close, lower high, and then now trying to defend, especially on top of this very nice support level. So all looking good right now for Zeta. And what we typically see with these type of consolidation and pennant patterns, for any type of continuation pattern actually, is that when we talk about the length of upside starting from price action heading into consolidation, that's typically what we find actually as the extension target when we do actually get a pattern like this to hold up, confirm supports, and then actually see that next continuation break outside. So for example, if we actually do want to look at a target, then what we would be looking at, assuming we do get a nice bullish break out of this, would be right around the 240 level. If in fact we do get that type of continuation where we had the upside move, entered consolidation, and then if we do get a very nice upside breakout, this 240 level would very much be a very nice upside target. And if we do look left, that would pretty much be the heart line of consolidation for this sideways move right after the Zeta launch, which would be a very, very nice upside target if in fact we do actually break out. Now, plenty of upside resistances below that though. And if we look at this daily, we're actually looking at several points of resistance. So a very nice zone coming in. And right now, actually seeing prices that did get rejected multiple times. So if we actually look to the left here, starting right off the move, big period of closing resistance, and then we flipped into very nice support with a lot of these downside lower shadows, as you can see. So we're looking at very big point of upside resistance from 168 all the way up to 177. Those are going to be extremely strong points as based off of previous technical guides. So kind of what we're looking at right now, especially too, big point of resistance, found a lot of resistance in this zone, and then even now on this consolidation as well, still finding a lot of this zone as a very, very strong technical level for resistance coming in. So now, in addition to not only the price levels, we also have this down trend line, which like we mentioned, does match up with this period of consolidation. So with that, also have a very strong level of support coming in based on this previous level. So looking all the way to the left, this was our big point of closing support, had a big point of resistance, especially since it did match up to the 12-period EMA. And then once we actually flipped bullish back on top of this trend line, we are now looking at it being as that very supportive guide. So hopefully can maintain it. And obviously, if we do extend these out, we will find an apex towards the middle of June or so. But realistically expecting a price breakout before that, especially with a lot of the altcoin and cryptocurrencies been so battered and the Bitcoin short looking like a very nice opportunity. So let's go ahead and flip over to Bitcoin really quick, talk about how good of a setup this is, especially since breaking below this exponential moving average band, had a very nice structure breaking above and reclaiming this. So not necessarily a bad thing to think if we do see a back test potentially why these exponential moving averages do roll up, but especially breaking through a lot of these levels of closing resistance too for a Bitcoin. So for example, looking at a big one, pretty much right around the $65,000 psychological level, but ultimately we will be looking at that as being a very nice price level that does match up with back testing these exponential moving averages. So very nice directional opportunity for Bitcoin, especially on the weekly chart, since we're looking at this very nice bullish confirmation candle after kicking off and finding support just under this 12-period EMA for this weekly. So hopefully a lot of the positive direction for Bitcoin will also rub off positively for altcoins, but right now we know altcoins are still lagging just a little bit, especially after pulling back 50 to 60, and then even Zeta pulled back almost 70%. So from the current all-time high right now down to the low was a 68% pullback, so almost 70%. Definitely one of the largest ones that we saw in the altcoin space, but none of that is really super bad right now, especially since we are in a pretty good setup, especially after finding lower support, seeing upside moves, and then now reclaiming support and backtesting them on these exponential moving averages. So good signs ahead for that. Flipping over to the weekly candle, which is about to close in about an hour as of time of recording, so should see a pretty nice candle closing out here. Would still expect a little bit more of the spinning top type pattern, similar to like what we saw last week, which does match up with a lot of the consolidation that we do have. So in the weekly, we kind of form more of a flag type pattern, which is definitely a good sign as well. But we know that we have been seeing weekly rejection from this 12-period EMA. As you can see, still a pretty new chart, so don't really have that much even for this 12-period exponential moving average, since we're only about 16 bars into this chart or so. But one of the great things that we're seeing now too is just not only did we see a huge taper off in the volume coming off of the all-time high, but now, especially after our capitulation candle found our bottom, we are starting to see a taper off now week over week for the current selling pressure for these bearish candles for ZetaChain here. But what's also notable is that the level for this 12-period exponential moving average right now does correlate to this big zone of previous resistance and also support before the obvious flush and capitulation candle. So getting stuck up that as resistance, not only for a price level, but also for in terms of the 12-period exponential moving average as well. So still a very, very relevant technical indicator that we would love to see the bulls actually break above. So if we can get above all the way up to through the 177 and all the way up to the 187 level, especially for a close on the weekly, that's going to be the sign that we're looking for the bulls to actually see a lot more continuation and price action to the upside. So flipping down over into the 2-day chart here, and plenty of resistance coming in between the zone from the 26 to the 50-period EMA. What's also significant too is that we are finding closing support on top of the 12, and we're looking very close like we want to find a bullish cross for the 12-period on top of the 26. That'll be a very nice sign to see. But in this move to the upside, we're also seeing a decrease in overall volume, especially bullish volume as well, but also selling pressure as well. So not necessarily a bad sign, especially when we only have one bearish, two bullish, one bearish, two bullish, one bearish. So we'll see if now on the following two bullish, or the following 2 days on this candle, or the following 2 candles on this 2-day chart, excuse me, will be those green bullish candles as well, especially since each one is increasing day over day. Now on this 2-day chart too, pretty nice trend line that we're looking at for being support here as well. And the thing is that we've had multiple tests of this trend line, and typically that's how we gauge the relevance of a trend line, is how many confirmations and tests of that trend line we actually have. So big confirmation and test of it being resistance on this move coming off the low. And then also now we do have 3 tests of this trend line being very nice support. So it also does align with this 12-period exponential moving average. So we know that if we break and close below this trend line as well as the 12-period EMA, that'll not necessarily be the best sign, even though we would still potentially be maintaining a higher low in price. But we know that because we have seen back tests and confirmation of this trend line providing that support, we know that that will be one of the bearish signs and signals that will actually be pretty negative in terms of looking at price action continuation further to the downside and not necessarily having a bullish break out of this continuation from this upside directional move. So we are going to be looking at a level of closing support as well, though, since we are going to be finding 155 as that level. But also, like we mentioned, that is going to correlate to the current level of support for the trend line as well as the 12-period EMA. So coming in right at 157. So very, very big and crucial points of support here. So if we actually do see prices slip and actually dip below and close below 155, that's going to be one of the big bearish indicators to me that we will need to see either an immediate rejection from the bulls and a lot of dip buying in order to push prices back up and reclaim the support of that level. Otherwise, it will be almost certain that we will be looking at a little bit more slippage to the downside and probably another test of prices back down into probably about the 131 to the 125 levels. So like we mentioned, especially because 155 correlates to the 26-period exponential moving average, which has been confirmed as daily support so far, we know that this is going to be extremely important and crucial, and it was previous resistance as well. So being able to maintain 155 is going to be extremely important for multiple technical reasons. So we absolutely need to see the bulls be able to maintain this level and then also be able to continue to see a little bit more of this pennant play out, or would love to see a nice bullish break from that. But otherwise, potentially losing the 155 level would be a bearish confirmation from this consolidation pattern. But overall, I think Zeta is an extremely strong project for this upcoming cycle. So I think even if we do see some price slippage to the downside, it's not necessarily a bad sign, just another opportunity to keep buying the dip if you do so, please. But obviously, nothing is financial advice. All right, so with that actually is going to go ahead and wrap up the show today on ZetaChain ZETA on that ticker. Hope you all enjoyed. If you did, please hit the thumbs up, like, and subscribe button. If you have not done so just yet, do appreciate all the continuous love and support. As always, it does mean oh so much. That's going to do it for now, though, so stay safe, coin traders. Take care, and I will catch you back in the next video.